Okay.
Welcome everybody to the January 11th, 2021, first of the new year. So very much a happy new year to everybody. Hope everybody's safe and sound and enjoyed their holidays. So as we kick off this year, tonight's agenda is basically the approve the minutes. We'll have the Central Avenue Jack Cogswell building, and then we'll also have the public safety project, which is a majority actually of the time on the agenda calendar tonight. I would like to try and do a recap of last year and a look ahead for this year in terms of projects and the work that we've done. But Steve and I've talked, I'd like to try and do that next time. But I think it would be good to recognize the tremendous accomplishments of last year through the projects. A lot of projects came to conclusion, obviously public safety. So it'll be good to, I think, just look back and then also look ahead. But for tonight, the first agenda item is the approve the minutes. And I would look for a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, December 14th, I believe it is.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, George. And any questions? And given that it's a virtual meeting, same format as usual, we'll go through a roll call. Hearing no questions or objections, so I will go down the list. Richard?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Roy?
Aye.
Erwin?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Chair is aye as well. Okay. With that, we'll close the approve the minutes and we'll then move.
Do we have either of the chiefs here tonight?
For the public safety it's not,
Oh,
it's the
right.
next item, George.
That's right, too. Okay.
And I know, I'm not sure if some of you have seen the news, but obviously Needham was captured in the news tonight with being the first public safety collection of the vaccines, and both chiefs were interviewed and got their vaccines. So that's a good step, but that's for a different day. All right, so let's move to the Central Ave project Jack Cogswell, and that will be you, Steve, I presume.
Yes. So it's been somewhat quiet.
Excuse me, Steve is, oh, there's Karis. Never mind. Just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure she was there.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I was a little delayed, and then I was unmuting. Sorry about that.
Okay.
It's been relatively quiet, but at Jack Cogswell, but the consolidation that we've been talking about for quite some time now in the land court, that is still delayed. So I sent a letter over to planning board for an extension till March 4th, at which point, hopefully we consolidate the property and we can get the certificate of occupancy, but that is being assisted with by Chris Heap, the attorney. So hopefully he can push it along faster. So we're still in the temporary certificate of occupancy with that. And one of the other characteristics of that site being used in COVID is that we are pursuing a change of use for the building, which is also being assisted with Chris Heap. So that will be working through the planning board as well. The temporary certificate of occupancy will be on the agenda for January 19th. I'm not sure of the timing for Chris's change of use agenda. So
Just for question purposes, what is the current stated use? Just storage?
yes.
And the new use will include what?
Well, I see Karis is here. Karis, do you want to comment on what we're doing here?
Yeah, so this is just a temporary change in use for the duration of the COVID state of emergency, so that staff can be located out of that facility to help encourage social distancing. So we have about 17 staff that are currently reporting to that facility. And as the weather gets colder, they're obviously indoors more than they normally would. So we are getting permission to use the inside primarily for work that would normally be done in the 470 garage, like light equipment maintenance.
Okay, but you need to do a change in use just to do this even temporarily? That's
Yes,
planning,
we,
that's
we
planning
had-
board for us, huh?
Yeah, we had done this during the state of emergency when we thought it was going to be a month or 2 months. And I think because we do think we're looking at another 6 months of having to maintain some additional space, we wanted to come back full circle with the planning board.
If I can, I don't think it's a change of use as far as code requirements. It's a change of use as defined by the planning board occupancy.
Yeah, you might
Okay.
remember, George, that we had indicated this will be a minimally used, minimally heated building, just extremely for spring, autumn movement of vehicles. And now people are parking their cars there and they're using the interior space more heavily than was anticipated and promised to the neighbors. So if the neighbors are concerned about an excessive amount of vehicles or more people in that area, we are addressing that concern on a temporary basis in a formal way.
Okay, there isn't really an issue of parking there. There's plenty of parking spaces, I
Yeah,
believe.
there certainly are more cars parked over there recently.
Well, the reason I asked the question is I'm concerned that the planning board hopefully will not force us to do some things that might be required if this was not a temporary change in use. I would not want to see us spending any more money than we have to effectively utilize this facility in the way we want to use it. I would hope that they would be sensitive to that, to keep any costs that we put in there to a minimum.
So I can just speak to that quickly, but when we met with the planning board, their main concern was really only the tight tank and parking. We addressed the tight tank issue because we're doing additional pumping from the tight tank, more than what was originally intended. And the parking issue, I believe there's only 3 parking spaces that are officially designated on that site. And we are working with Lee right now, the planning board director, to identify additional parking spaces. We're coming very close, and I believe they delegated it to the planning director to make the final decision about additional parking spaces.
Okay.
Any other questions? And Steve, is that all you have, or you got more? I mean, I've got a question. So the additional, the extension of the occupancy, that was granted, or we're waiting for that to be granted?
We're waiting for that still.
Okay. All right. Others have questions? And again, we're on virtual meeting, so either raise your hand or hit the digital hand raise. So I don't see any questions. Steve, back to you, I guess.
Okay, I will mention that at the last PBBC meeting, we talked about installing the BMS, which is the HVAC monitoring system. And we've taken a few steps back. It's still in process, so I don't want to report anything. So that's kind of a holding pattern. I'll just tell you that next time I come back, I'll probably give you an update how that worked out in terms of working with the vendor and the electrician. Those pieces got a little bit need to be reevaluated one more time. The weather station is operating. The battery is running. There's a little C battery, lithium battery, and that it's basically run by solar, but the battery, Sean Rigo was going to change it out today, and then he decided he's going to change it out tomorrow. And then I know that George, you're interested in training, but I figured I'd change that battery out and then contact Blue Hills about coming in with the training. And the last thing is the solar. We were talking about installing solar panels on that. We submitted an application to Eversource, and we're still in the design phase for that. Still just in a holding pattern. It's pretty typical. It takes this long. So that's about it. Jack Cogswell.
Okay, George, I see your hand up.
I did have a question regarding the weather station. It would be nice if we could do whatever training is necessary so that the schools and DPW primarily could really use that equipment or the results of it. So as soon as we get it set to go, Steve, I think it would be very helpful to get that training going.
Okay. And then
Okay.
we have a couple of voting items, some invoices.
I have two here.
Two, correct. One is for the New Era Technology, 3,129. And the other one is for Arello Landscaping for $2,000.
Yep.
The New Era was basically the Wi-Fi. It was a separate piece from the security system, and the billing was running late. So they wanted to close it out by the end of last year. So we just got the bill. And then the knotweed, I think we all have gone through a lot of landscaping questions at the median strip, but basically that's in good shape. The knotweed treatments got performed, and it seems like the trees are all in good shape.
All right, so I'm gonna take both invoices in one vote. I'm gonna put forth the invoice for Hydrograss Technologies for the knotweed treatment for $2,000 out of the miscellaneous budget, and the invoice for New Era Technology for the Aruba Access licenses for $3,129. So both those invoices I put forth for a vote of approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Roy. Any questions? George, your hand is still up?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Just want to make sure. Okay. No questions. Hearing none, we will go to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Gene,
Aye.
chair is aye. And do we have a user group?
John Reagan's here.
Okay.
And
John's
Karis.
aye.
Karis has taken over Rick's place.
Okay, and Karis is an aye, I presume. I think that's what. All right, perfect. Okay, great. Okay, that's it. Anything else on the Cogswell building?
No, thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody. All right, we will close that item down, and we will now pivot to the public safety agenda item. And I turn that over to you, Ken.
Unmute myself and let me get my screen shared here. Everybody see that?
Before you go forward, I see Chief Condon is Chief Slittler in the attendees. Okay, well, just keep an eye out, Steve, will you?
I think John might be out at a different meeting tonight.
Okay, all right, just keep your eye peeled, Steve Gentile. On the
Okay,
attendees.
it was a slow load up on that one.
Okay, all right, Ken, it's over to you.
Okay. Little update where we are over in phase 2 in the PD side of headquarters. The basement wall and footings are complete. We're working our way up out of the hole with the foundations for the Sallyport portion of the police side. They're backfilling and doing foundation drains and waterproofing along the Chestnut and School Street side, and they turn the corner along the back side today. That will be continuing throughout the week. With any luck, we may get that at least the 2 street sides done this week. Over at Fire Station 2, the under slab on the apparatus bay has been poured, and main level wing slabs have been poured. Trench drains and vapor barriers in the lower bays are complete. They've been filling in rebar, and they're going to pour the first of the checkerboard and the slab on grade tomorrow. And doing some exterior framing up on the penthouse. If you go by, you can see the framing up there and some of the underlayment for that. And they've got the building temporarily closed in on the lower levels. Still looking at a October, November substantial completion over at Fire Station 2, and a January, February 22 completion on the police side. Are there any questions on the schedule?
No issues on the police station side of things
In terms of,
in terms of the foundations, et cetera, everything's moving along smoothly.
yeah, so far, I mean, we're probably 3/4 done with the total excavating. All the deep foundations are done.
Good.
All right, the ACL, most of this you have seen before. We've got a new one on the composite slab transitions and an exterior drain support at Fire Station 2 and backlit sign at on the PD side. Are there any questions on the ACL?
I don't see any hands raised.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing everybody, Stuart, so you have to keep an eye
Yeah,
on that.
I'll help you out.
Okay. So with that, we can go to the voting items.
Okay. All right, so we have a number of items. I'm just looking at, you got your list and I got this list. We got to do the change order first, correct?
However you want to do it. There's
Okay.
nothing in the change order that's being paid, so
It's a credit.
it is a credit. Yes, this month it's a credit. It's as you can see, it's made up mostly of the modifications in the courtyard and the carport, which we discussed last month as part of the value engineering we did. There are a few other smaller credits in there, and the major add back in is the COVID for December. As you can see, there's only 3 other change requests totaling under $11,000.
All right, so I'm gonna go down through. Let's we've got other invoices. Okay, so I will suggest that we do the change order first. So I'll put forth for approval a change order number 24, which is a credit to the project of $41,631 in the general contracting budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, George. Any questions? Hearing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Dean,
Aye.
Chair is aye, Chief Condon,
Aye.
and I think that's it for user group. Okay, great. All right, I'm going to put a PSS forth. Castle Booze, PSS number 43. This is another credit for the Tower as built survey. And if I'm correct, there is. So it's a credit for $434.77 in the architectural budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Erwin. Any questions? Seeing none, hearing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Dean,
Aye.
and Chair is aye, and Chief Condon.
Aye.
Okay.
Stuart, one thing, that first item at the top there, the traffic signals, that's actually an invoice, not a PSS for the $148.50. You probably have.
I've got it in his invoice here.
Yeah, I just, that was a mistake on my part. It should have been an invoice.
Okay, at least on what I've got here for the list, I'm okay. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to put forth an invoice for Consigli for Rec 24 through December 2020 for $1,320,248.67 to the general contracting budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Dean,
Aye.
Chair is aye. Chief Condon.
Aye.
Great. Okay. I'm going to put forth 2 invoices together for Castle Booze. One is for December 2020 services CA for $35,752.94 to the architectural budget. The second invoice is for December 2020 December 2020 services for traffic signal for $148.50, also to the architectural budget. Those 2 invoices put forth for approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Roy. Any questions? Seeing none, hearing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Gene,
Aye.
Chair's aye, and Chief Condon.
Aye.
Great. Okay. I'm going to put forth a invoice for Needham Garden Center snow blower for the FF&E budget for $2,240. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gene. Any questions?
Quick question. I'm assuming that that becomes the property of the fire department.
Yes, it's for use at headquarters. So it's in the fire department maintenance bay now, but it'll be used on both sides as
And then the next-
necessary to clear the walks.
And the next question is, do we have a place for it?
Yeah, it's in the vehicle bay in the back.
It has its own coiling door.
George,
Okay.
in that small vehicle bay in the back, there's a room where we keep lawn maintenance and building maintenance kind of stuff. And it has a door on one side, a roll-up door that goes directly outside. So
So no problem keeping gasoline in there, et cetera.
no, we're very good there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, great. Coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Gene,
Aye.
Chair's aye, Chief Condon.
Aye.
Okay, great. I'm going to put forth 5 invoices for the technology budget. Oker's invoice for audio video equipment, $2,178. Oker's invoice for Aruba Wireless, Police Department, Fire Department, $5,471.20. Oker's a Aruba Wireless for the Police and Fire Department, another invoice for $11,788.60. A Oker's invoice for audio video equipment for $2,300. And the final invoice in the grouping is from Connectivity Point for phone service call, $422.88. Those 5 invoices put forth for approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
George, thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Gene,
Aye.
Chair's aye, and Chief Condon.
Aye.
Okay. The last set of invoices for public safety is a group of 9 invoices. So bear with me as I go through them. They're all for the miscellaneous budget. The first one is a PODS invoice for BX, basically December through the 25th of this month, $114.99. Another PODS invoice from a similar time period, 12/19 to 1/18, $114.99. Milton Cat generator invoice for the rental of this month, January. This is January 2020. Ken, is it 2021?
It is. It's for the current month.
It's the generator, yeah. So generator rental on January 2021 for $2,612.50. A Needham Police details invoice for $164. There is a invoice for Needham Police for $712. Another police detail from Needham Police for $1,424. And another Needham Police for invoice from Needham Police for details, $689.75. Those 4 police details are primarily the month of December around Webster Street, School Street. The next invoice is UTS of Mass for November 18th and 30th materials testing for $600. And the final invoice in the grouping is for UTS for November through December materials testing on the Chestnut Street. So the first one was Fire Station 2. Second one is Chestnut Street. for $1,695. All 9 of those invoices put forth for approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Erwin. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, coming to the vote. Roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Dean.
Aye.
Chair is aye. Chief Condon. Chief Condon.
Aye.
Thank you. Great. That is all the invoices. Ken or Catherine, did I miss anything?
No, that's everything I got.
Okay.
Nope, I believe that's it.
All right, we have one invoice outside of this project, which we'll cover once we conclude. Okay. Any questions, final pieces for the public safety?
Just one for me, and that is, at some point in time, we should be discussing what we're going to be including as our request for additional budgeting for the project. This kind of goes to Steve. Have we started to develop a budget estimate for the additional funding that we're looking for, Steve?
We've been tracking it, and the plan has been to review that with the committee at the February meeting. And at that meeting, we'll provide a recommendation to you, and the committee will have to decide whether that recommendation or an adjustment to that number. The warrant article that has been approved by the select board includes a $1.7 million amount. So the question will be whether to amend that number or not.
Right, and in order to really provide some educated input to that, it would be nice if we could discuss it over a 2-meeting period rather than just all at once and have to make a decision that night, et cetera. Wouldn't it be better to discuss it the end of the last meeting in January and then come to our conclusion and vote in February?
Well, the reason we held it off is we wanted to make sure that we gathered as much data, as much cost data before we made that decision. So right now, if you look at Ken's budget summary, we're operating within the parameters of what we had thought where we would be. We're within that number. We can give you the actual COVID and the actual soil data at the next meeting. We will have the next, that's been pretty well developed. We do not have, we still have a projection on the COVID. We don't have finals on COVID, obviously, and we will not have them until
Right.
sometime.
You'll have it through January, but you still have to estimate it for the rest of the project, really.
Yeah, well, I won't even have it through January at the next meeting.
Well, December.
We will for the February meeting, but we won't for the next meeting.
Right.
So for the February meeting, we'll have the numbers through January. And then we're sticking with it. What's that, George?
I said, we know what the environmental is. The real
Yeah.
question then becomes, what additional costs do we think we need in order to finish this project with some contingency left for the rest of the project? Because this is our one bite of the apple.
Right, and the decision needs to encompass whether or not we want to adjust the 1.7 downward or
I'm
not.
suggesting
We're
that
not gonna-
anything that we have by the end of January, we have a chance, an item on the agenda to discuss that specific item at the meeting in the end of January. And then if we have to make our final decision in February, that's fine. But I think we ought to be able to discuss it over a two meeting agenda.
George,
So we-
George,
Yeah.
quite frankly, I don't think anything's going to change between now and the next meeting. I don't think we're not gonna have any more information short of if there's some catastrophic change order between now and then that will affect our thinking.
What are you
Right.
thinking in terms of, George, in terms of, I mean, if we
I just want us to have as much information as we all can get
Yeah.
to make sure that we're not just rubber stamping this, but we're actually asking the question, will we have enough contingency to finish this project? And what risk are we taking by putting out a 1.7? I want to feel comfortable that when we ask for 1.7, that's what we ought to ask for rather than 1.8 or 1.9 or whatever. I just want to feel as comfortable as I can to make sure we can confirm that number and not have to go back again on this project.
Yeah, I know, Erwin, I know you have your hand up, but before I turn to you, if I may, just Steve, in terms of the selectmen have put together the article, when's the final of the articles? That's not till like April or May, or, I mean, excuse
Oh,
me.
the article is what has been put forward. Whether or not FinCom signs off on it or not is a question.
That still has to go through, right?
Or whether or not we amend the number before we go to town meeting.
But is there a window, is there a timeline that we have to work with to appreciate their schedules?
Well, you have until
You wanna have
if you're going to amend that number,
better do it.
have some period of time before town meeting to amend that number. You go in with an amendment. The warrant article is what it is. And
So the warrant article is not changing. There's no room to change that.
unless it's amended.
Well, it's amended at town meeting. I understand that. So you're saying it's already
That is
prefabricated.
correct.
Okay, fine. All right, so.
The finance committee is going to scrutinize that 1.7, and they're going to want to make sure that they feel comfortable that that's sufficient to finish the project as well. And
Correct.
that
So
whenever
George,
that meeting is, they're going to scrutinize it.
Right. But George, I think for the sake of this committee and what we're facing, I think that we should get to a point where we revisit what we visited in the fall. We can't control anything outside of this committee in terms of the amount of discussion or anything else. It's another day.
Right.
But I guess what I want to get back to is your point about saying 2 days, over 2 meetings. It strikes me, and I know, Erwin, sorry, I know you're waiting.
It's okay.
Is that George? I think that it's fair to, or I should say to the committee, I think it's fair that we do a majority of our discussion in the meeting when Steve and the team come back, Ken and Steve come back. And then if we need an additional step, we can take that. But it seems that we've got enough, and I'm maybe over simplifying it to the committee, but I think we've got enough here. The only thing we really need to know is, has the numbers and the amount of assumptions changed from the last time we ground through this? And I think that what would help us, Steve and Ken, is probably, getting a preempt of this. If you have material in the next meeting that we can get a little bit of a discussion. If not, then we'll do it on that February 6th meeting. And then if we have to, we'll push to the next meeting to finalize, George.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, Erwin?
Yeah, two quick questions. And the first question, I just want to be clear, get clarity on the 1.7. My understanding is at town meeting, you could only revise the number downward unless you can find other areas of the budget to compensate for an increase. So are we at that point now where the 1.7 is in effect the upper limit, or is there still any flexibility for it going upward?
Well, here's how I look at it. If you look at Ken's budget summary, at the moment, at this point in time, through December, we had roughly, with all the soil costs in the budget, and an allowance for COVID going outward, we have roughly $1.2 million, a little bit over $1.2 million in contingency. If you look at this project as continuing on for 12 months, that's $100,000 a month for potential change orders hitting the project. That's above the rate we went into the 1.7 at, which means that we're bettering the number that we had allocated, the $80,000 a month of change orders. Obviously, we do not know what those specific items are. Everything we are aware of appears in the anticipated cost log, but we continue to have changes as we move forward. And we had allocated $80,000 a month for that contingency. So at the moment, we're running at a burn rate that's less than the 80,000. We have essentially 100,000 if we project the 1.7 million at the close of the project. We have roughly 100,000 a month of burn rate to absorb without going over the 1.7.
I understand that. I'm just asking mechanically, are we at the point now where if for some reason we wanted to make it, I understand we're doing better than the 1.7, but are we at the point now, since it's already been indicated this will be in the warrant, are we past the point where we could revise it at all upward, or can we only revise it downward if we wanted to?
Well, if it had to be revised upward for a particular reason, committee wanting to raise it, then it's incumbent on the town to figure out where it would come out of the budget.
Well, that's what I mean. The only way to raise it upward
other revenues or other costs that are identified in the budget. So the town would have to figure a way to reduce that, to pick up the number of the increase.
Right, and that's
It's like
very
any
hard.
other warrant article of this nature.
Right, and that's usually pretty hard to do. I just wanted to be clear on that. Second question, the environmental, are we confident that the LSP has kind of laid out what the future expected reporting and other costs are going to be? Well, I mean, are we at a pretty high level of confidence what to expect to carry the environmental work to its completion? Or is there still any unknowns there that drive it up?
There are some unknowns, but we have budgeted for the worst case scenario.
Okay, so that's folded into
Correct.
whatever
correct.
that.
So the soils cost would only go down if we were able to convince DEP to pull back on something.
All right, thank you, Ken.
Richard?
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify one point, and that is that whatever the number is in the published warrant, that is the number, that is the maximum, that is the ceiling. We cannot raise it. The town moderator will not allow that because it's really a notice issue to the community. That's what a warrant is. It's notice to the community that action will be taken on certain items. So whatever the number ends up being, that's what we have to live with. It can certainly be amended downward, but it cannot be amended upwards. So I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that, that we need to make sure that everything's factored into the equation, that the town has the ability to be able to pay for it, and that's it. So just make sure that we're happy with that number, because it cannot go above that once the warrant is published.
So
Okay,
what is the date that we have to live with to make that decision that we agree with 1.7 is my point.
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna interject quickly, and I see Erwin, you got your hand up too, is that I believe that warrant is not published. I think some of the articles have been established, but they're not cast in stone, other than, if I'm correct, Steve, the reason the 1.7 is sitting there is because of the total budget that's been put together at this stage and moving forward, and that the only way to change that component, which is this 1.7 or whatever, is to take something else and move it out. But I don't think the warrant's final.
Correct.
So, I think in all reality, worst case, you can move it. I hope we not. I don't think we are at that point. I don't want to belabor that discussion here, but I think it's fair to say that we have as a committee, we need to look at this number, regardless of what's happening outside with the budget and the town or anything else. What is it going to take for this project? And then take that and let the town apply it accordingly. That's my belief. Erwin?
I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. So I don't want to get hung up on process, or I should say, folks, I think we should not get hung up on process right now. Let's focus on the project and what's needed and make sure that we understand the pieces. And then as we're asked to do, financial gymnastics, we'll do it, but I think we're probably okay. Other questions? George, anything further?
No, I just don't want us to miss the opportunity. If the number is higher than that for some reason, I don't want us to miss the opportunity to say it's higher than that.
I don't think we are. I would say
I
as a
don't know what
committee,
that date is.
yeah, I would say as a committee, we have every right to debate what we think is responsible for this project and put it forth and just let it, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But right now, we'll contend with what.
Can we find out what that date is that we have to have the final answer in?
Steve, is that possible when we come to that discussion?
Richard, do you have any better?
Yeah,
information?
I'm trying to recall. I know that the operating budget is voted by the Finance Committee in February. So that becomes subject to minor adjustments. That is essentially done at that point. I'm going to say it's probably March timeframe, because I just in terms of the kind of thinking about how far in advance the warrant is published before the meeting. So I'm going to say March, but that's just my vague recollection from my years of doing this.
Well,
Well,
George,
certainly by the next meeting, we can ask that question.
you can ask that question actually now, if you're really thinking that we should be increasing that number.
I don't know yet. I'm simply asking, what's the date that we have to make the final decision? That's a reasonable question. I'm sure somebody knows.
I understand that.
I don't know what the number is going to be. 1.7 sounds pretty good right now, but we haven't voted it as a committee. We don't know.
Yeah, and that's why I just like to say I don't think we should. Let's have our discussion. And I think we're still within the window if something drastically changes. I would hope that we're moving in the direction of what we discussed last fall. And based on the numbers that are coming in, that we should be within a reasonable number. And I think that as any committee and any kind of decisions, if it's something drastically changes, we're going to have to cross that bridge. There's nothing we can do to change outside of this group to prepare for a large number right now because we don't have the basis. And I think I just leave it to Ken and Steve to let's make sure we get an understanding of what's needed as a committee. Let's review that, and when we take that vote, then it gets carried forward. Okay. 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 Any other questions on this project? Ken, any last words?
No, good.
Okay. All right. We've gone through the pay apps or anything else. All right. So we'll close down the public safety discussion. Hank? Hank, you're on mute.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Chief
Thank you,
John.
Dennis.
One other voting item for Sunita Williams.
Yeah, but that's outside of this project.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Yep, I got that. All right, thank you, public safety folks. We do have one mic as a committee. We do have one voting item for Sunita Williams. And I don't know if we have any, I don't believe we have any other topics, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to voting. You know, I don't, hold on a second. I had it.
Shall I give you the
There it is.
number?
I got it. I got it. Okay. So for the committee, we have a voting item for the Sunita Williams School. We have a invoice for the project dog, the printing services for $534. So I'll put forth that invoice for approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thanks, Gene. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Gene,
Aye.
chair is aye. Okay. Anything else on Sunita Williams, Hank, or other projects you've got?
No.
Okay. Steve, any other business from your side of the puzzle?
Nope.
Okay. We got 10 minutes we could fill, folks. Only kidding. Only kidding. All right. Any other parts? Let's just quickly. So our next meeting's the 25th. And then hopefully you have from the digital version that was sent out for the agenda, you have the other items. I would just go through your calendars and make sure you got those dates. And we'll go. And just to recap, we'll have on the 8th, actually, not the 6th, but the 8th of February, we've got the contingency discussion. And then if possible, Steve, it would be good, I think, to do that summary next meeting just for last year's projects and where we've gone. Okay. If there is no other business, Happy
Who's
New
gonna
Year.
win?
And
Who's going to
This
win?
a record, by the way?
I think this is a record, Erwin. I think this is success. So, George, who's going to win, Alabama or Ohio?
I think Alabama's going to win.